kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa kulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kukulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya.
All right, welcome back to the Farm Kenya show. I told you we're talking matters to do with mushroom farming, and today I have Maurice Nkonyo, who's a mushroom farmer, and Mycelian Foods Limited. They're specialists in mushrooms. Maurice, thank you very much for making time to speak to us.
Thank you.
How did you end up planting mushrooms?
It's a long story. Do you have the time?
Brief it up.
All right, but through this research, myself, I've had interest in agribusiness for so long. I've been in the space for more than a decade, but specifically in mushroom is 7 years.
Okay.
So I was looking for something to do, something lucrative, something that can fetch me money in a short time. So that's how I ended up in mushroom. Yes, so 7 years been here.
That's incredible.
A lot of challenges, but we braved them, and yeah, we're here.
Definitely.
Yes.
So mushrooms, you know, going back in time.
Yes.
For those of us who grew up in the village, once in a while the anthills will come up and you'll get the long one, you know?
Yes,
and it's chopped up and it's prepared really nicely. In terms of commercial consumption,
all right,
especially in the Kenyan ecosystem, since you've done this from, where do we stand? Is it something that is a normal meal to Kenyans, or is it foreign in pockets of Kenya?
Like you've said, especially in Western, mushroom is not a new thing. People have been eating mushrooms since long, long ago. In fact, the mushrooms you're describing, it's called tomatomyces, and it has been said to be one of the sweetest mushrooms. So unfortunately, we don't have the seed for that. So we rely on the natural one. Then in the towns, that's when you have now the exotic mushrooms, whereby we farm mostly button and oyster mushrooms. They are brought in by expatriates. So they are the ones who are making it popular in the Kenyan market. Yes.
Oh, that's quite interesting.
Yes, indeed.
And so far, are we seeing that embrace of...
Oh yeah, sure. There's a lot of, there's a wake of healthy, people want to eat healthy food. We are calling them health conscious consumers. They are looking into alternatives into meat. You know, red meat, kachoma, is very tasty, but it has its consequences, the downsides. But now with mushrooms, only protein, no sodium, no cholesterol. So it's very nice for people who want to be healthy and want to eat healthy, want to live longer.
Okay.
Yes.
Definitely. In the spirit of living longer.
Yes.
Maybe I'm seated there and I want to go into mushroom farming.
All right.
First of all, what do I need to have?
Okay.
What are the prerequisites to go into mushroom farming?
All right. So I think the first thing you need to have is a space. Thankfully for mushrooms, you don't need a big space. On a 50 by 100 plot, you can have about 3 or 4 houses, because mushrooms are not grown outside, they're grown indoors. So you need a space. Then the next thing you would need is a house, the house itself. It's a unique house, I would say, because it's a house that you'll be able to control the conditions inside. Mushroom, for one thing, is they are climate smart. They do not rely on the outside climate. So even in the hottest areas, here in Kenya, you can be able to grow mushrooms, provided you have equipment and machinery that will be able to maintain the conditions. So you need a structure. Then the next thing you do is a substrate, which is the media for the mushrooms to grow. Then the next thing you would need is a seed or the spawn.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. And that seems like a lot, because already you're talking about a piece of land and a young person is seated somewhere and is like, oh, let me count myself out.
No, fortunately, you can rent out a house. I have clients who are growing mushrooms in Kibera, so they get a house for 2,500 a month and they grow mushrooms from there. So you not necessarily for you to have the land.
Okay.
Yes.
That small house that you're talking about, the one that you're able to control the conditions in.
Yes.
I mean, what are those machineries that you're talking about, or how do you control this condition?
All right. So before, you would tell someone you're growing mushrooms, and what they come to mind is the mud houses. So people before were using mud houses because they're easy to control the temperatures. Humidity is easy to control in a mud house, as well as temperatures. But now we have advanced from the mud houses because you need to keep on renovating them. Then in terms of hygiene, because you are spraying water every now and then, so the mud would keep on falling and you need to keep on renovating after every cycle. So now we've moved from that. We are doing houses made of timber, that is wooden structures, and then concrete or stone, brick and mortar. You can get up a good house for mushroom growing. Then the equipment I'm talking about is the AC, extractor fan for airflow inside the houses. Then you would need a humidifier to regulate the RH of the house. That is the relative humidity.
Wow.
Yes.
So with all that,
Yes.
because you've now mentioned humidifier,
Yes.
you're wondering, what is the initial cost that I need to have if at all I'm to go into mushroom production?
Yes, so one of the challenge of mushroom farming, it's capital intensive. For you, when you want to do commercial, they need to dig deeper in the pocket. You need about 300 to 500,000, the structure and the initial crop or the initial substrate. But you can start with a small crop of maybe the oyster variety, which is cheaper to grow, with about 30,000 to 60,000 minus the house. If you already have the house, then you can be able to start with that.
All right,
Yes.
minus the humidifier.
Minus the humidifier, minus that. But there are small humidifiers that retail for about 8,000 to 12,000.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's possible.
It is very much possible.
Start small, then
Start
grow.
small, then grow, yes.
Yeah.
In fact, that is a gospel we keep on preaching. Do not be afraid. Start small as you grow.
Okay.
Yes.
Very, very critical. So when it comes to choice, because mushrooms tend to be very diverse. Earlier on, you've hinted that you know, foreigners, you know, coming back and having a particular vibe. They're demanding for some of these foods.
Yes.
Talk to me about the varieties, and especially if you're going into commercial production.
All right.
What determines your choice?
Okay, so if you're going to commercial, then the popular ones to grow are the button and oyster mushrooms. On our table here today, we have both of them, and then we have additional ones, that is cremini and portabella. Cremini and portabella, they're in the same family with the button mushrooms. They are the agaricus species. So those ones,
If you can just hold the cremini one and
so
portabella one.
Yes, this is cremini and this is portabella. Cremini is also known as the baby bella because it's the small one of this one.
Okay.
Yes. So these one, they are more new in the market, although the button mushroom, this one, was propagated from the cremini. So this one was the first one. This one is what grows in the wild.
Okay.
So this one was taken, and then through modification, we got the button mushroom. So these ones were brought in by the expatriates, but the local consumers have also now embraced the mushrooms. So for someone who wants to do for commercial purposes, I would advise them to start with the oyster mushrooms, which is this one. Very easy to grow and cheap as well.
Yes.
Within a month, you've already started harvesting and you are in the market.
Okay.
Yes, then you can graduate into the button mushroom, which is more sensitive and more expensive to grow.
Okay.
Yes.
That's quite interesting.
Indeed.
So already initial capital
Yes.
is already a challenge if you need to go into production. So far, I mean, doing this for, now you're quickly approaching 10 years, a decade into this, 7+ years. What are some of the challenges that if at all somebody is coming into mushroom production, they need to be privy of and be ready to tackle?
All right. So the other challenges I can point out is the lack of skill. If you don't have the skill to grow, unfortunately, growing mushrooms is not the same way like growing maize or beans. You first of all need the skill to grow them.
Okay.
You have to know the variety of the spawn that you want to grow, and the substrate, the type of substrate. You have to know which one has the higher nitrogen content, because mushrooms, they feed more on nitrogen. So you have to know the various substrates to use for you to produce mushrooms. Wheat straw scores very high. Then we have sugarcane bagasse, which also scores similar to wheat straw, and you can use them to grow both the oyster and the button mushroom.
Okay.
Yes. Then the other challenge, I would say, is pests and diseases, but with training, you can be taught on how to mitigate all that. Yes.
That's incredible. And talking about training, because chatting with you guys at Mycelia,
Yes.
you you've figured out how to do it differently. Of course, that comes with experience doing
Yes,
this
indeed.
over almost over 5 years.
Yes.
You're rethinking the mushroom ecosystem and value chain. First of all, the Kenyan mushroom value chain, generally speaking, how developed is it or underdeveloped is it?
I would say it's quite untapped. It's only now people are learning about it and more research is being done because there's a research that was done some years back and it shows that the demand for mushrooms in the country is 1.2 or 1,200 metric tons per year, with production standing at 500 metric tons, leaving a demand of 700. Of course, we have had more producers coming into the market and consumers as well. So we are yet to commission another survey to see where we're standing at. But it is still very new because many people do not know about the mushrooms. So we are doing a lot of awareness on the importance of consuming mushrooms, which scores very high from minerals. It is very high in protein, up to 30%. It has selenium, which is an antioxidant and helps to detoxify the body. And then it has very high vitamin B complex, that is the folate, which is very important in pregnant and lactating mothers, very important that for those minerals. Then it has zinc and iron, and so it helps in building your immunity per se, overall health and building the immunity.
Okay.
Yes.
That's incredible. Very good for pregnant
Yes,
mothers.
yes, yes, indeed.
Yeah. So you guys deliver mushroom?
Yes, yes, we do deliver. We are contracted by various supermarkets,
Okay.
where they are our main clients, but we also have some hotels, groceries, and direct consumers as well.
You don't, when you talk now the commercial angling of it,
Yes.
especially with the high initial cost, what goes into pricing these mushrooms that is not too punitive, that is fair? Because we understand also the Kenyan market, and we as Kenyans, it's like, unaniuzia pesa ngapi? Hapana.
Yeah, sure,
Yes,
sure,
yes.
sure. So, in fact, let me first of all start with meat. Beef has been gaining, the prices has been going up. They are almost now reaching into mushrooms because a punnet of mushroom would retail between 800 and 1,000 per kg. So then when it comes to the farmer can get 500 to 600 a kg when you're buying from them, because we do contract farmers to farm on our behalf. Then we aggregate the mushrooms we offtake and deliver to our clients. So in terms of pricing, that is what we're looking at.
Okay.
Yes.
Aggregation.
Yes.
That's quite interesting because
Yes.
mushroom is quite sensitive.
It is.
How are you
It is,
able
it is.
to do that?
So what we've done, like I said, we are contracted by the supermarkets, the major ones in the country. I can mention Naivas. So we have branches across the country, and our farmers are spread across. We are in 23 counties. So we've had farmers producing from them, and then they would take to the nearest branch or in their either town or the city they are in. They can supply directly into the branches. That way, we are able now to ensure the freshness of the mushrooms because they are very perishable, highly perishable. You have to harvest the same day and sell the same day because they have to be refrigerated. Alternatively, you can harvest at night, and then you put them in courier services, and then they can travel overnight and receive them in Nairobi. And we're able now to supply our clients here.
Quality control issues?
Yes, so we have quality control. We have someone who is in charge of that. Before we receive them from the farmer, we have to check the quality, the freshness, and also the packaging as well. Then for me as a director, Mycelian Foods Limited, I do often visit the farms to see whether they are keeping up to the standards of which we've taught them of mushroom production. That way we are able now to mitigate on the quality issues. Yes.
That's quite interesting.
Indeed,
aggregation.
Yes.
And this you're doing in how many counties across?
We're in 23 counties at the moment, with Nairobi, Kajiado, and Kiambu taking the lion's share of about 70% of our farmers.
Nairobi.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, people are farming in the concrete jungle. Like I said, you do not need a big space. Yes, once you have a space, then you're able to control the climate inside, you're good to go. Okay. Yes.
That's quite incredible.
Indeed.
Yeah, you've mentioned mainstreaming, like there's still a huge gap when it comes to the demand, actually the supply, because the demand fought with the supply of mushrooms.
Yes, indeed.
What will it take to fill that particular gap that we still have, as much as the research is a little bit backdated, but almost similar ratio
Yes.
might be. What does it take to be able to fill that demand?
So we want to do a lot of capacity building for our already contracted farmers to increase their production. We are also bringing in a lot of farmers. We are training a lot of people who want to do the mushroom farming, because then again, yes, it might be new, but it's gaining popularity, and especially among the youth, women and youth. They want to look for something they can do, either as a side hustle or a main hustle. So we are introducing more farmers into the production. That one will help in increasing the production. Maybe we'll be able to meet the demand or even do export. Yes.
That's incredible.
Indeed.
For mushrooms, I hope it's not like sugarcane, 24 months to mature, because the cycles also determine the harvesting cycles.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
talk to me about that.
So for the first growing is the oyster mushroom, which takes about a month. So you prepare the substrate in 4 days, you inoculate, which is to add the spawn into the substrate, then you incubate for 1 month. After that 1 month, it will take about 5 days for the mushrooms to start pinning. Once you induce pinning, you will harvest for 2 to 3 months continuously. So the turnaround is quite quick. Then for the button and the Creminia and Portabella, you have to prepare the compost first. So you compost for 1 month, you pasteurize, then you incubate for another month. So 2 months, then you start production. Yes, and then you'll harvest for similar 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible. So
Yes, indeed.
the return on investment is pretty high.
Yes, it's pretty high, and you can do a number of cycles in 1 year. Then the good thing, you can also have various houses, such that when one house is incubation, the other one you've already started harvesting. When it's done, you put on another crop. Yes, so you can be in production back to back, provided you have various houses.
So there is an element of perpetuity.
Yes, indeed.
That's incredible. Now, in terms of where we are going as a sector, as a mushroom sector, one of the challenges that faces a lot of sectors, especially any agricultural related in the country, has been the issue of value addition. So even when you look at the export market, we're exporting a lot of raw products. For mushroom to be able to avoid that and sort of be able to go into the value addition realm, what does that look like, especially from a practitioner like you?
Yes, so we, as Mycelian Foods Limited, we are touching base with value addition, which is something we've started doing. We are drying the mushrooms, which prolongs their shelf life. So you know, mushrooms, like I said, they're very perishable. They have about shelf life of 10 days. But once you dry, you can store them for up to 2 years. So that is the first thing we started doing. We are drying the mushrooms. Before, we used to have losses of up to 45% before we started now the value addition. But when we started drying the mushrooms, we have reduced that loss to about 20%. So with that, we are able also to mill. Once we dry the mushrooms, we mill into powder. Then the powder is used as a fortifier and as a seasoning. As a seasoning, when you're doing meat dishes, you're doing maybe your beef or your chicken, you can add a tablespoon to add value and also taste, aroma. It tastes better. The Japanese call it the umami flavor. So you have different flavor in your food. So the powder can be used as that. And as a fortifier, when you're doing your porridge, when you're doing your juice, you can add a tablespoon. These smoothies, the green smoothies, you can add a tablespoon of the mushroom powder. Then with the mushroom powder, as Mycelian Foods Limited, we are taking about 15% of it. We combine with wheat flour and we do the mushroom cookies. So value addition is something we are holding very dear to us, because it's helping us in career. Because for someone who might be new into mushroom consumption, they wouldn't want to consume mushroom directly, but in a cookie, they're able to get the benefits. Maybe the taste will be not so much, because like I said, the umami flavor, the foreign flavor for some people who have a sensitive palate, and they don't want something too sensitive to taste. So we can introduce them using the cookies or using a porridge. So value addition is something that is very important in the mushroom value chain.
Definitely. Yes. And as we close up, you've done this for quite a while.
Yeah, quite a while.
I want you to play pathetic based on your experience. Talk to us in brief. How do you see this industry going, and how does it fit into the greater national agenda of solving the issues that we have of youth unemployment and whatnot?
So this is something, but the mushrooms, you can wake me from my sleep and I'll talk non-stop about mushrooms. So it's something I have very dear to my heart. So, and when it comes to employment, this is a chain or a value the government should look into very keenly and give us a lot of support, because we're looking at support, especially when it comes now, like you said, one of the challenges is the capital. If we can have youth groups who are supported to do this, it's something that can be able to support them in an livelihood. Also, when it comes now to value additions, we want to tap the international market with that. So in industry that we want, we are in 5 years to come, is an industry we see that we would have grown and employed of women and youth.
Okay.
Because when it comes now to preparation of the substrate, it's very keen. You need to be trained on that, and we are training a lot of farmers to do that. So we can train people to go and work in farms, in mushroom farms. You as an agribusiness person, not necessarily you are on your 8 to 5, but you can employ someone to grow the mushrooms on your behalf.
Okay.
So we are training a lot of people on that. So 5 years from now, it's an industry that we see will grow very much.
Wow.
Yes. And before we end, I'd like to invite you, Noah, to our farm, Livingston's farm in Kiambu.
Okay.
On the 16th of November, we have a farm visit where we'll be showcasing on how to produce the oyster mushroom variety, which is like I said, is the entrant into the industry.
Okay.
Yes. So come and join us and see how we grow the mushrooms.
Definitely.
Yes.
So soon I'm becoming a mushroom.
Yes. Become a mushroom farmer.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Maurice.
much. Thank you.
Yeah, Maurice Nkonya is the director, Mycelium Foods Limited. And to the core, he is a mushroom farmer. And he says that these do hold great potential to transform the tides of many young people, if at all, will be intentional to train and equip people to be able to grow mushrooms. Still hugely untapped value chain. There is myriads of opportunity for value addition, and I mean, why not run with this particular cause? But that is Matters Mushroom, and mushroom is where we put a full stop, or we button up that conversation, since we have some button mushroom. But thank you very much for joining with us over the past hour right here at the Farm Kenya Show. My name is Noah Kimboy. It's always a pleasure having you. We out for now.
Kuwa mkono ambao unalima ardhi, mlango wa mkulima, kuwa mshindi, kuwa na uhakika sasa, kuulea mustakabali wa baadaye. Tufanye kazi pamoja na tukue pamoja, kuimarisha Kenya ni jukumu la Farm Kenya. Kuwa mkono ambao